Hi. Today we're gonna talk about a very, very unpleasant topic, and I apologize in advance, but also not really. If you see me looking here, it's because I'm live on YouTube, and the lighting sucks, but we'll live. Maybe I'll try to. Let me see if I can give us some better light, baby. And if you see me looking at this, it's because I am on Facebook Live as well. This is actually the first time I'm testing my YouTube Live. I have no fucking idea if anyone's gonna show up, but I also don't really care. Oh, there we go. That's good. Okay, cool. So, today we're gonna talk about something uncomfortable, and this was brought on by something that I saw on Facebook today that was bothering me. And when something bothers me, I really only have one option, and that option is to talk about it on live. And so we're talking about it here. Why aren't people making more money, and why are so few, and I really mean so few people in business making any money at all? It bothers me. It bothers the shit out of me. And if you are one of these people who is sitting here thinking, oh my God, I've been doing this for years, why am I still not even cracking, the bare minimum of 10K a month? You are who I'm talking to. And public service notice. After this video, you may like me a little bit less, but I'm used to that, so it's fine. Hi, drop me where you're watching from. I am in London, UK. If anyone here is new, can I zoom in? Oh, yes, I can. Hi. I'm in London, UK. It's cold as hell outside, but at least it's not snowing unlike the rest of England, so we're good. Oh my God, people are watching on YouTube. Color me shocked. Hi. So I'm not gonna be super specific about what inspired this because you guys have probably seen the post, and I don't want to start any drama. People usually start it and I finish it, and I would like to keep it that way. So I've always said the same thing about this. I've always said that unless you are willing to, take full ownership of your results and of your lack of results, and unless you're willing to have radical self responsibility, you're never going to get anywhere in business. Like I've always said that. So this is not new. What is new is that I've always tried to not give too many examples about this because when I give examples, people take it personally. And even some of my clients, a lot of my clients are watching this, and 99% of my clients understand that when I say something that applies to them, I'm not insulting them, but there's always going to be the occasional person who's like, oh, how dare you? So I'm sure we're about to have that as well. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. So here's the gist. Um, Actually, before I go into it, if you're about to listen to this video, okay, from the lens of, oh, but there are all these external reasons why I'm not more successful or successful at all yet, don't watch. I don't want you to watch this. This is not for you. I will not be catering to you. Okay. You and I, we're good. We're not each other's person. And that's fine. We don't have to be. Okay. I'm sure you're still going to lurk around, but we're not each other's person. We weren't meant to be, not in this lifetime. Okay. I fully understand that there are factors that influence certain group of people's, mine included, right? A certain group of people's ability to be successful. Trust me, I understand. As an Eastern European woman who grew up poor. I would not say I grew up middle class. Those of you living in the Western world, like if you knew how I lived when I was growing up and how much money my family earned, you'd probably think I lived, I don't know, in a bin. I don't know. Um, so I get it, but like we're not meant to be. So go away. So the reason so many people in this space don't make more money is not external. A moment of silence because I really I really need you to get this. It's not external. It's not the market. It's not your niche. It's not because your audience isn't bigger. It's not because your strategy is not good enough. And it's not because you haven't spent $50,000 on a VIP day with a woman who sends her assistant to do VIP days because she doesn't even bother to show up. It's none of that. Okay. It's you. And that's so uncomfortable. But it's also not a bad thing. Like, I'm getting hot in here. Why are we treating it like it's a bad thing? It's not a bad thing that we are in charge of our results and lack of self results. It is the best thing ever. You wanna know why? Because if it wasn't us, my fat rolls, if it wasn't us, it would be harder to fix. So why are we so set against admitting that we are the problem. "Hi, I'm the problem, it's me." That should be the easiest thing in the world for us to admit if you really think about it. So, hi. So, I want this to be a no holds barred conversation where we're all honest with each other. We have a lot of people watching this live, even more gonna watch the replay. This is a big one. So I want you to be here in the comments. I want you to talk to me. I want you to talk to each other. And I want you to own up to your shit. I want you to own up to where your fault lies in your results, lack of results, success, lack of success, whatever it is that you are struggling to make happen right now. I want you to be honest with yourself. I love what Juliet just said. Totally hear you. I am the problem. But what's great is that is that I am also the solution. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. The Lord is upon us. He has spoken. Thank you. I don't know. So what is radical self-responsibility? It is the ability to take 100% ownership of your results, actions, mindset, and circumstances without watching this video, hearing what I'm saying right now and going, "But I am a victim." Bitch, you're watching this video. You have a computer or a phone, an internet connection, and if you're here watching this video, you have far too much time on your hands. You're privileged as hell. You're good. You're not a victim. Not of this anyway. Okay? We can be victims in many ways. I've been a victim of things in my life. I've been through severe trauma in my life. I get it. But there's also chosen victimhood that's really dangerous. And people will probably try to cancel me because in 2025, you should not say that. Hashtag politically correct is the way forward. Good luck with that. So blame is a huge thing that I wanna talk about in this video. And we have some really smart people here. I mean, we have Sonia, we have Jean, we have Teresa. Hi, Teresa. We have Zhu, we have Steph, we have Lynette, we have Catherine in the house, a genius human being. We have Deborah, Lynette, Iris. Hi, Veronica, Kenneth, Sherry. Hi to all of you. I want you to tell me what you think. I want to hear from you. This is not a monologue. Those are boring as hell. I don't like to hear my own voice. So you talk to me. But blame is a big thing. I think that you know what I think about blame? I think that blame is a very seductive thing because of the illusion of control, and it's control without accountability, right? Hi. When you blame something other than yourself, you stay in this illusion that, well, if only these 3, 4, 5, 20,000 external things change, then you would succeed, right? And it's so comfortable to stay in that because you never have to look at yourself. You're never the problem. So it's seductive. I get it. Um, there's this idea, I don't know if you guys read Nietzsche, but there's this idea of eternal recurrence. And it's about how what if every choice that you made repeated forever? Hi. I love that we have people watching on YouTube. What if every choice you made was repeated forever and ever? Would you still blame all of these external factors, or would you start making decisions that are worthy of being repeated for eternity? Bit uncomfortable to think about. I know. Blame gives away your power. It really does. It really does. I think victimhood is necessary for some in parts of their healing, but that's why I say there's chosen victimhood, which I think is incredibly insulting to actual victims of trauma, victims of things. Um, it's a hard topic that I'm not gonna go into, but I do think it's very disrespectful in a way, and I think we live in a especially in a post-COVID, very Western world in here. I'm in England, you know? We live in this Western world where no one wants to take accountability for anything, yet everyone loves cancel culture and frames it as, "No, it's not cancel culture, it's just asking people to take accountability for their actions." Really? And when is the last time you did that? I'm a survivor and a warrior woman. Yes, you are. I love that. I think everyone here is. You can be a victim or a victor. Sometimes we choose the wrong option. I've realized, says Nikki, 100% that as well, Juliet. I found that surrendering to not expecting an outcome and just stepping into loving to give value. Uh, no one is in control of our circumstances. I did some self reflection, says Steph, at the end of last year and realized that all of the external noise from others' opinions had muddied my focus. That's big. This year, I'm set on leaning into my core values and beliefs for my business, implementing my strategy and business plans as I know they should be. Yeah, fuck yeah. I love this for you. Des, is it victimhood to acknowledge that you have less time due to your surroundings? I'm open to acknowledging this. Is it victimhood if you're still getting somewhere slowly? I don't think so. I think you're the last person to be in victimhood. I don't, you do have less time. That's not victimhood. That's just a fact. But then, you know what is victimhood? Oh, well, the reason I've not succeeded is because I have less time. Bull crap. There's people who have less time than you who are succeeding. And so are you. You are succeeding too at a different pace, and that's fine. I don't, no, that's not. You've never once, to me at least, used that as a reason of X, Y, and Z that you haven't accomplished. So, so yeah, eternal recurrence, guys. I get it. Blame is very seductive. So I want to give some examples that may be triggering, but they're very important to give. And you might recognize yourself in some of these. And I know that there are people who've been in my world as clients, as, ex whatever friends, that will for sure recognize themselves in this. But the good news is that they watch without ever engaging because they're hiding. So we're good. They're probably not going to say anything. I wish they would, though. I really wish that this would be an honest conversation, even if it sometimes means that you disagree or you recognize yourself in something and it's triggering. So just be honest. So here's an example. The click mentality is very interesting to me. So you know how oftentimes you join a membership, a mastermind, a program, even something that's in person. Even maybe you become like a one-to-one client, and this person has other one-to-one clients, right? And then you, instead of engaging with your mentor, your coach, instead of engaging with the material, you know what you do? You decide, oh, but there's like a cool kids club. Oh, there's all these cliques, and I'm not part of any of them. And, success is just not possible for me because I'm just not included. I'm not included. Blame, 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 blame. Have you been that person? Have you had clients like that? I've been that person and I've had clients like that. And I parted ways with them very quickly. I cannot be around people like this. It kills my soul. It really it puts out my fire almost. Nothing can really put out my fire, but those people, if I spend too much time with them, it starts to. Suddenly the sparks are gone and I'm like, "Oh my god, why am I even doing this?" The belonging trap, yeah. So They tell themselves these stories about, oh, this is why that person is successful. And with those stories, all they're doing is they're just distracting from the real issue, which is they're not owning their own role in their lack of success. Right. And I'm not saying that clicks don't exist. Clicks will always exist, but what is a click? That's the thing. Like I've personally been part of a lot of different spaces. I was part of a mastermind for a long time. I'm part of another one now, sort of. I have my own. I have my own of everything. I have a membership. I have a high level mastermind. I have all kinds of group programs. So I have so many communities of my own. But I've also been part of different ones. And there have always been clicks. There have always been naturally formed mini groups inside. I never saw it as a bad thing, and never once did I see it as as me being excluded. No, it's just people bond for different reasons. We are not children in kindergarten. You would be shocked if you knew how many people who are twice my age, how embarrassing for their life and soul, who are twice my age, who join spaces like memberships and masterminds less so, but it happens on that level too. And then they're like, oh, I'm being excluded because I don't know, this the founder spoke for 3 seconds longer to this person on a mastermind call, or she gave a compliment to that person but not to me, or I saw her, like a photo of her in real life hanging out with this client but not with me. People actually think like this. It's utterly insane, and such an obvious reason why a person like that will never make it. As someone who has a very big audience, maybe not very big, but I have an audience. As someone who has had a membership for 8 years, we turn 8 in February, baby, BBS. I've experienced this. And you can never win with these people. Do you wanna know why? Because I love hanging out with my clients in person. Okay. I'm one of these crazy people that are like, I'm constantly organizing and showing up to in person hangouts. We just went out with some of my clients just last week. When was it? Right before New Year's. We went out, we had some drinks. It was fun. Before that, we did karaoke. We've done escape rooms, we've seen cabarets, we've done murder mysteries, we've traveled together. Like there's so much that I love to do with my clients. And then, but here's the thing, like there are clients who are invited who never come. And then there's clients who live far away because I have a global audience and a client base. And so I've literally, they never say it to me, but I've had people in my membership come and say to me, oh my God, that person, one of your clients from like Canada or America, said to me that the reason she didn't succeed in your membership is because you went to a, you, true story, you went to an escape room with these 5 people, and that's why they succeeded and she, and she didn't. And I was like, word. Yeah, that's why. Surely it's not because she never showed up for any mastermind calls. Surely it's not because she asked me 2 questions in 6 months and never once showed up for herself at all in the membership. It must be. It really must be because she didn't fly from America to an escape room I hosted that lasted for an hour and a half and we couldn't even crack the code. Yeah, we got locked in. It's interesting when I hang out with my clients in at social hangouts, we never talk about business. This is the thing, because I refuse to give someone a leg up just because they're here in the same location as me. That's ridiculous to me. I don't want to do that. So we don't talk business. And here's the most interesting thing. I've not said this as a boundary. I've never said to them, don't talk to me about business. They just know. It's just known. It's in the air. Because they respect me and I respect them. But you will hear this a lot, especially in low ticket memberships. People will find any reason and it's disgusting. And this whole thing about clicks, I remember someone was trying to paint me as a mean girl last year, or was it 2022? Because I lead a cult because I have clicks in my spaces. And like, I don't have, well, everyone, first of all, has clicks in their spaces. But to me, click, there's nothing wrong with a click. Different groups of people bond for different reasons. I treat everyone the same. And I've been blessed enough to have become really close friends with some of my clients. I do client to friend, I don't do friend to client. I have a boundary around friend to client, and I just will not do it. Client to friend, 100%. It has happened. And you guys have seen me travel with some of them. I've become close with some of my clients, like Melissa, like Hannah. We are good friends. We've traveled, we went on girls' trips together. But when they show up in BBS, some of them are in my mastermind. When they show up there is zero preferential treatment. Zero. Because I don't give a fuck who you are in that space. You ask me a question, I answer your question, period. How can I even give you preferential treatment? It's a 15-minute mastermind spot, a hot seat session. But I've had people imagine it. And I've had people who are desperate for something and someone to blame, who see a photo of me and Hannah on a trip somewhere, who go, Des is friends with Hannah, and that's why Hannah is successful in BBS, but I'm not. Bitch, Hannah had a 5-figure launch, her first ever launch 4 years ago when we were not friends. And she found me weird, and I found her even more weird. We were not friends. She made $12,000 on her first launch because she followed my advice. Let me tell you, she was not successful because we were friends. She was successful because she's smart as fuck and she knew exactly how to leverage my spaces. We became friends for a whole different reason. And I just refuse to let myself get bullied by people who will invent all of these things. And I refuse to change how I do business. And I refuse to stop becoming friends with clients. And if someone has a problem with that, they can fuck right off. And they usually do. They try to take me down with them, but that will never happen. So usually it just goes like this. I'm here, they're here, they try to take me down with them, and then this happens. No, wait, this is me, this is them. Because that's what happens. Blame is seductive. So it's a seductress. So if you've ever experienced this, don't ever let yourself get bullied by people who will make up any reason. Now, that doesn't mean don't have, self accountability. Maybe your space is toxic. This is something that I audit all the time. I have all kinds of different measures in place to make sure that my spaces are supportive and diverse and non-toxic. And there's like 4 different types of safety that you have to, or 5 that you have to, like psychological safety that you have to implement in all of your spaces. And I make sure that all of them are there at all times. But there will always be the random person who is like, oh, but the X, Y, and Z is only successful because I saw a photo of them and Des being in a pub together. Bitch, like as great as I am at what I do, I don't really think I'm gonna go out for a drink with someone and they'll automatically be successful because they're in my energy. Okay, like you're good. Thank you, though. I mean, I appreciate that. I've heard the clique complaints a lot. Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere, anyone with a community, people will say that. And in my community, I've had 99% of people say, "Oh my god, this is such an amazing, like, click-free space. It's so amazing how everyone gets the same amount of time and individual attention." And then I've had the 1% who is like, "Oh my god, I left because there's all these clicks, and that's why I'm not successful." And that person never showed up once in 6 months. I'm trying not to laugh, but OMG. Yeah, good luck, bitch. Maybe she could have cracked it and made you guys successful. I know, right? Cold time in. When I see you at all those events, it just makes me love you more and keeps me in BBS. This year I'm diving in. Come, we're doing a games night at Anya's. A BBS games night. You should come. January 18, baby. I just invited a bunch of people to Anya's place. She's gonna love her address is I'm just kidding. Um, yep. Dragon's blood does wonders. Sage their ass. Wanna have a drink and try it out? Sure, you in London? So, yeah, I find that, clicks don't actually exclude people. You exclude yourself when you decide that there is a click and you're sitting on the sidelines. Hi, everyone on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I have a couple of people watching. So I find that people cling to their current identity, even if that identity has stopped serving them or never even served them in the first place, because change often feels like death. Can anyone resonate with that? I know it has felt like that for me. So saying things like, "Oh, well, I'm just not part of the clique," or, "Oh, well, I've tried everything and nothing worked," it reinforces this static identity that feels safer than just admitting, "I need change, I need to grow." Yeah. And then our identity becomes a prison of our own making, and that's even more difficult to admit. We see ourselves as someone who can succeed rather than someone who is on their way to becoming successful. And I get that. I struggled with that in my early 20s, but thankfully, I was called out by multiple people, and I was, reminded of my power as well by multiple people. And as someone who has given my power away so many times, I mean, I nearly took my own life when I was 19 years old because of cyberbullying. I've given my power away to external circumstances more than once, and I'm not trying to do that again, ever. I'm immature, I'm still butthurt from bad investments. That's the level of honesty I love and appreciate. Fuck yeah, I'm living for this, like, word. Yes. We've all been butthurt from bad investments, but also I don't use the term bad investment. I don't think that exists. I think every investment is a lesson. I've had 20K lessons, 50K lessons. I've had 200K lessons. Yeah. Not gonna talk about it right now, but I've had them. And when you flip the script like that, nothing can phase you. And your mind is gonna be optimized in such a way that you simply cannot give your power away to anything external because your brain cannot comprehend the very act of doing that. This is why you guys have heard me talk about Explode, my program that starts next week. I still have one spot available, by the way. That's why I talk about it so much, and I say that in Explode, I help you optimize your brain, your brand, and your business. People miss out the brain optimization, but without the brain optimization, you can't optimize the brand and the business. And what most people do is they optimize the brand and the business and then don't optimize this and here, and then it's fucked. And then it's bad investments. That's why I created Explode in the first place. Feel free to DM me if you wanna talk about it. 200K listens, that makes me feel better. I love your style and your voice. Why, thank you. I know, I'm not proud of it or anything. I'm not like, "Oh, I spent $200,000 and it was stupid. Yay." But it happens at every level. You're gonna make, mistakes, and you're gonna learn from them. So I cannot get my business up and going. Yes, you can. You can do anything you want, Mira. You can do anything, okay? I promise you. The second thing people say after, "Oh, but it's a click," is, "I've done it all. I've tried it all, and nothing worked." Have you ever said that? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. "I've done it all. I've tried it all, and nothing worked." Yes, you've said that. No, you've never said that. I want honesty. My second question is, have you ever heard people say that? I know we all have. It's one of the things that bothers me the most, I think, because it's a lie. No one has tried everything. What does that even mean? Have you worked with me? No? Then you've not tried everything. You know what I mean? You've just not. Yes. Yes, I hear that daily. I've thought it. Mhm. I've heard it a million times. How does it make you feel when people say that? Have you ever seen someone say that and you went and you were like, "Oh my god, yes, me too," and then you all wallowed in self-pity together? because I see people, and without saying too much, that's exactly what I saw on Facebook today. People got together on this post, women mostly, which makes me even more sad because I think men don't do that as much as women. Maybe I'm wrong. And they were just wallowing together. It was like a wine fest. Not wine as in no whining, a wine fest. Yeah, I wanna shake shake 'em too. I'm like, "Bitch, what are you doing with your life? This is this is how you wanna spend the rest of your life? Because you will. If that's how you if your mind is not optimized and this is how you show up in public, this is how you act in public, how you behave as a business owner, I cannot even imagine what's going on behind the scenes, and that's terrifying. So I've done it all and nothing works. These are people who tell themselves, "Well, I've tried every strategy, I've invested in every program, and nothing has worked." When the reality is, you've half-assed every single approach. You've been impatient as hell. You've jumped ship every time you got hard. You couldn't even commit 6 months to a single strategy, 6 months to selling one thing. You did not do that, okay? If you did not do that, you half-assed it. And let me ask you something. If you've tried it all and nothing worked, what's the common denominator? And I'm not saying that necessarily from a position of, "Oh, you were not meant to be an entrepreneur." Maybe, yeah, sure, not everyone is. But I actually don't think that people who are attracted to me, and not attracted to me, but to my energy and to what I'm saying, are not meant to be entrepreneurs. I think if any of what I'm saying um, resonates with you, then you probably were. I tend to be a filter for for people. It's weird to explain, but I tend to be like people either love me or hate me, and I find that true entrepreneurs can resonate with a lot of what I say because true entrepreneurs want the harsh truth. They don't want to tiptoe around it, and they don't care about how the thing is said. They care about the thing itself, which is very tough. Very few people, I think, are true entrepreneurs. So, and I wasn't. For most of my life, I wasn't. I could not take criticism of any kind, whereas now I'm literally inviting it. I'm like, you become addicted at some point, which is also not good, but more about that on another day. So, what would it look like for you? Just something for you to ask yourself. What would it look like for you to go all in on one thing, one mentor, one program, one strategy, without being impatient, without half-assing it, without jumping onto the next thing? What would that look like for you? What is that? If that's working with me, amazing, let's do it. If it's something else, great, do that. But most people will self-sabotage, and they'll spread their energy too thin, and they'll spread it on the wrong things. The magic doesn't just happen in the doing, the magic happens in the mastery of the doing. I know that we always talk about imperfect action and just showing up. Yes. Yeah, you gotta show up for your business, but it is also about mastering how you show up. And you can't master something without dedicating the appropriate amount of time to it. Being an entrepreneur is another hard journey of self-discovery as well as business discovery. Girl, you're telling me this shit is hard. It's so hard, and you have to fall you have to be a masochist. You have to be fucked in the head, and you have to be a masochist to be an entrepreneur. And people laugh when I say that, but isn't that true? We're not normal human beings. We chose the we did not choose the path of least resistance, okay? We chose the hardest path. We chose the path that requires us to be free in our mind, and that's nearly impossible. We chase the impossible every day, and that's something that the rest of humanity cannot say. The rest of humanity will choose the path of least resistance. They'll get a job, they'll get 3 jobs, they'll settle down, they'll settle with the bare minimum. They'll give their kids and their family the bare minimum, they'll pat themselves on the back for having the bare minimum, and they'll die having lived a life that to them felt mediocre. I'm not saying the life was mediocre, because mediocrity is very subjective. Everyone has a different idea of what happiness is and of what mediocrity is. But if you are living your life right now and your life feels mediocre, do something about it, for fuck's sake. You have the power. I was a mess before meeting you. Thank you, I guess. Having to change so much, but getting there. You are doing amazing, Janie. That's exactly what I inspire people to step away from. I fucking love that. You're very mesmerizing. Oh, whoa, whoa, thank you. Last year was totally on me. I was super successful in one business and dropped the ball in the other. Not this year. This year I explode. Talking about explode, maybe you want to show up live for the new round? Hi, Callie, my girl. Hi. I was lost before meeting you. Oh my God, you guys, stop saying that. People really are going to think this is a cult. is, oh wow. Moving on. So what would it look like to go all in? That's the question. And that's why when I talk about explode, I always talk about going all in, because once you've been through the process and explode, you cannot not be all in. It's not possible. Oh my God, I just thought of another example. Some of you may have been this person, so don't kill me. I'm running a free event on the 20th of January for those who want to have recurring revenue and create their own membership, right? It's called High Voltage. And we have some sort of a glitch on Facebook right now, so people are receiving like double of all the messages. It's really frustrating. Hopefully, it will be fixed next week. And the amount of people who have messaged me, like they actually messaged me to announce their exit, and they're like, "I'm actually this event sounds like exactly what I need, but I'm not gonna show up because you're sending me too many messages, and it's very violating. I feel violated." They feel violated by 3 messages that my bot sent. I'm trying to, figure out whether I should be politically correct or not, and now I'm not. What am I even thinking? Of course not. If a Facebook message about the event you signed up for feels violating to you, okay, I hope they're listening to this. I will repeat what I said in the beginning of this video. We are not for one another. We are not meant to be. Go away, fuck off, find someone who will validate you in your victimhood, find someone who will validate you in your lack of power, find someone who will never send you a single message and who will not give a crap if you engage or not. Okay? Like you're very welcome to do that. I I come from Eastern Europe. Okay, I come from Bulgaria. And and for me to hear that someone feels violated from a bot message on Facebook saying, "Hi, thank you for signing up. Here's how to continue to get notifications," or whatever. There's only one thing on my mind when I hear that, and that is, how much of a spoiled brat are you? How much of an entitled, spoiled, and like I'm spoiled. I get it. I spoil myself. I'm very spoiled in all the best ways. I love that. Entitlement, though, a very different thing. Never a good thing. So, bye-bye. Insane. Honestly insane. I do you think that these people will ever make it in business? A person who says to me, "I'm not gonna show up to your event because you send me 3 extra messages." Yeah. I just lol every time I get the same message. I know. I love that you have your automation set up to send out a voice note. Thank you. I love those voice notes. And see, Steph is here. Steph is not a person who got like a bunch of extra duplicated messages and then went, "Oh my God, that's very violate." I feel so violated right now. I need to tell her she's violated me. I need to announce my exit. I need to block her and I need to miss out on this amazing event I signed up for. Of course not. That's why she's watching this and she's laughing rather than being offended. So, hello. So these are not the people who say that, right? These are not millionaires, right? These are not people who've made it. These are not people who have a successful business. These are not people who have set themselves up for life, so they get to just waste an opportunity like that. These are people who right now are where I was 8 years ago when I was starting my business, when I was not making any money or not making much money, right? And instead of leveraging the hell out of this and every single opportunity, they complain about how many messages they're receiving. Like, that's insane. And these are the same people that 2 months from later will publicly say, "Oh my God, I tried everything and nothing worked, and everyone's a scammer." So don't be that person. The third thing that I hear a lot, I DM'd about the last book. Oh my God, did you? I'm gonna check my messages. Um, hey Natasha. Oh my God, I forgot to respond to you. I'm so sorry. I'm following the opportunities that feel right. There you go. So the third thing I hear a lot is I cannot invest because I've invested too much and I'm on a break from investing. This is a twofold thing because sometimes it's understandable because the person doesn't maybe have the cash flow, doesn't have the savings, like just doesn't have even access to the money for this particular investment. And I always like to say it's not about how much money you have, it's about how much money you have access to. And those are two different things. And in the Western world, I think people are very blessed and very privileged because you have access to things that I didn't have access to when I was starting my business, like things like credit cards and things like loans. I didn't have that. But 90% of the time, when people say that, it's crap. And I'm not saying this because I'm advising you to handle that objection. I think that anything that's about money is not an objection that needs to be handled by us as business owners. Personally, when someone raises an objection to me about money, I'm out. I'm like, okay, because there's no scarcity of clients out there. I'm not gonna try and convince someone to work with me if they're sitting here telling me, "Well, I've invested too much or I can't afford that." Of course not. Why would I put pressure on this person when I can just work with a person who doesn't feel that way? So I've never understood this whole thing of, "Oh, pricing, is an objection, so let's figure out 5 ways to tackle that objection on a sales call." No. No, you're good. So I've heard a lot of people say that they're taking a break from investing because they spend a lot of money. But then one thing I find they conveniently ignore is a lot of the money they invested it and then they never showed up. Or they half-assed it. So they didn't squeeze the juice out of something they already paid for. And that's why it didn't work out. So it's not that they invested too much, it's that they didn't show up enough. And those are two very different things. So a lot of people treat investments they've made in the past almost like a ticket to avoid responsibility. Oh, but I invested and it didn't work. Well, yeah, no shit. It won't work until it works, you know? How many people invest once, twice, 3 times, and then suddenly they have a successful business? It doesn't work that way. And now there's this new trend in the coaching space and in the online business space where people are like, "Oh, you don't need a mentor, you don't need a coach, you don't need to invest in anything. You can just make millions of dollars without knowing with knowing fuck all about business. You just learn from a free YouTube video." What? There's a reason that all of the super successful people you're following right now have always had a mentor because you need someone to be able to go to get advice from, to even It's not even just about getting advice. It's about having someone that is steps ahead of you who understands how it all works. Because when I got into business, I had no clue. I mean, I was like, "What is a funnel?" What? I could not. It took me a week to understand what is a lead magnet, what is a funnel, and how are these 2 things connected, okay? And then when I hired my first coach, who to be fair wasn't great, but he did help, um, he would give me things in a minute that would have taken me weeks to figure out. Why the hell would you spend weeks or months figuring something out when you can have it figured out in 5 minutes by asking a question? In my membership, every single week I do a mastermind call where they get hot seats with me. 15-minute increments of time where I one-to-one talk to the people on the call. In those 15 minutes, I don't know if people always realize it because it's easy to take for granted, to be fair, but in those 15 minutes, they get tens of thousands of dollars of value from me because I can tell them something that would have taken them months or years to figure out, or they would have figured it out at half past never. So, yeah, imagine what it's like to have access to someone like that one to one. It changes everything. And then add to that the mind optimization, right? When you have access to someone whose mind is already optimized for big money, big impact, and big results, and yours isn't, even just, I'm not gonna say the whole being in their energy, but even just being mentored by them, they can sometimes say a single sentence and you just go, I never thought of it like that. Like I was talking to one of my one-to-one clients 2 weeks ago, and she was telling me how Des is not working. Like I'm just getting the same person over and over again, and they're not my ideal client. And I said one sentence to her in a voice note. It was like a 10-second voice note. And she responded, "Oh my God, this just blew my entire mind. You're completely right." And she just shifted, it just moved mountains for her. 10-second voice note. So, yeah, to go back to my point, it's don't treat past investments that you maybe didn't even show up for completely as a ticket to avoid responsibility, as a ticket to not invest again. I remember I had someone really interested in Explode. She was really interested in this last spot, and we had a chat, I think it was 3 days ago, and it was going really well, and I thought she was in, and I actually really wanted to work with her, and then the biggest red flag. And then she sends me a voice note that was this really rambly, out of nowhere voice note. I think it's probably because she had, like, a day to think, because I never pressure people, and I never say, "Make a decision now." So she had, like a day or 2 to think about it, and I didn't even send her a follow-up message, and then she messages me this rambling 1-minute voice note on Messenger, and she goes, "You know, I invested like $10,000 in my business in 2024 already. So like investing another 5K and for a single program, even though I get access to you, I just think I need to take at least 6-month break before I invest again." And I was like, that makes literally no sense. So I just said, okay. And I left. 'Cause I that to me is a red flag. Not only am I not gonna convince this person to work with me, I don't want to, it's done for me. That's not someone I want in my space. I can help her, but for her to step into this particular program with that mindset, she's not in the right room. Because the other people are over that now, you know? They made the investment without messaging me saying, "Oh, I've invested," and also, she wants to make $500,000 in 2025. And she invested 10K in her business in 2024. Girl, you've invested 10K? You want a 10K investment to turn into $500,000 and you're not gonna invest 5K more? That is insane to me. That is insane. I I invest 6 figures in ads alone per year. I paid my coach 100 grand last year in full, and there's all kinds of other investments I've made as well. And not once did I sit down and think, "Oh, but I wanna make $5,000,000 in 2025, so I probably there's a limit of, like, I should probably invest, like, 2 grand." I reckon 2 grand should get me to 5,000,000. I mean, it's a ridiculous comparison, but come on. People are crazy. It has to make sense. Make it make sense. Hi, Sally Ann. Everything works for me. Everyone is my mentor. I love that. Hormozy says best use of money is to buy someone else's mistakes. Ooh, I mostly don't like that guy, but that's pretty smart. I'll give him that. He is smart. Um, Girl, I once had a girl drop into my DMs telling me she was looking for a coach to take her from 0 to 10K months in less than 3 months. No. I've had clients who've achieved that at least a dozen times, but I never promised that. And I never even alluded to it because when people come to me with goals like that, yeah, part of me is like, work. Fuck yeah, I love this for you. But the smarter part of me is that person is outsourcing their power to me because they're not saying, I'm gonna get myself with your help to 10K in 3 months. They're saying, you're gonna get me. You, Des, you're gonna get me to 10K in 3 months. Mm, we're not soulmates. Find someone else again. We're not meant for each other. I had a conversation today with someone who told me their revenue goal for this year is 300K, but they told me they didn't want to invest 6K because it felt too big. Yeah, I've had a lot of people, ask about Explode, and Explode is a $4,999, so almost 5K program, and the amount of transfer, like the level of transformation you receive in that program, even though it's only 5K, has gotten people to a multiple six-figure business, which is unbelievable. Like, they got themselves to that, not Explode, to be clear. Explode facilitated that for them. But the amount of people who are like, $5,000 for 7 weeks, and I'm like, "Would you prefer for me to charge you $5,000 for, um, 16 weeks and prolong the shit for you when I can give you the same amount of value and respect your time?" People don't respect their time. People value programs based on how long they are, and that to me is insanity. I would never sign up for a 12-week program. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that to shit on anyone who has it, but for me, I want time saved. If I can get something in 6 weeks, but I'm paying for to receive that thing in 12 weeks, I will not pay for that, which is why Explode is 7 weeks. Yeah, would you prefer for me to give it to you in a year? Like, what? People are crazy. How often do you run Explode? It's different. In the first year and a half, I run it a lot, but in the past 12 months, I've only run it once, I think. So I'm running it now. This week is our welcome call, so someone can sneak in now. And then I haven't planned because I have different plans for the next 6 months. So we'll see. Maybe one more time end of this year, but I haven't decided yet. Also, I've added an in-person retreat to it now here in London. People are going to be flying in. If you can't make it, you will be on Zoom. So that really increased the value of the program massively, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I can't invest. I've invested too much is crazy, especially when here's what I say. The revenue goals and really any goal, but let's stay on revenue goals. The revenue goals you have for your goddamn business, the depth of your commitment has to match those. And if the depth of your commitment is, well, I can't invest $5,000 if I want to make 1 million a year or 2 million a year, you're out of whack, girl. You're out of whack. It's not gonna work out, let me tell you, because you're here being like, I'm gonna make 500,000 a year on a budget. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. So, and people don't like to hear that because they think we're fear mongering them and they think that we're just trying to sell them something. And I'm like, of course I'm trying to sell you something. This is a business, but I wouldn't be trying to sell you this if I didn't believe that it can help you. One. And two, why can't someone be trying to sell us something and still be honest? If I'm listening to someone who's more successful than me and they're selling me something and they're saying, this is why you're not successful, let me help you. I'll be like, okay. And that's exactly what I've done. every single time I've invested in a mentor. I refuse to invest 5K, but I'm gonna charge 5K for my offer. Don't remind me. Oh my God. There's people out there who are trying to get $5,000, 10, $20,000 out of you guys, and they've never paid that. They've never invested that in themselves. How can you be in alignment, attracting a client at that level of commitment if you do not lead with that level of commitment yourself? That's a controversial one. And I get that. It's like the chicken or the egg. What if I can't invest that? We'll find a way, like we're so privileged. There's always a way. Yeah. And then number 4, my favorite. I got scammed. I got nothing out of it. Have you heard that one? Have you said that one? Oh my God, please. Who's gonna be brutally honest? Have you ever said that? I got scammed or I got nothing out of it. So I've said that. I've definitely said it, and I have actually gotten scammed. But you know what? There's actually a difference between I got scammed and I got nothing out of it. There's actually a difference. They're not the same thing. I've made investments where they literally took my money and delivered nothing in return. They ran away with my money and they scammed me. And you know what? I learned so much from that. I learned a fuck ton. If I hadn't made that investment, I would have made it later and it would have been much bigger and I would have been scammed for a lot more money. So I'm so grateful that I did it at that level instead of at that level. There's always bad actors in business. You will always end up paying someone who doesn't deliver. That will happen. Sometimes you can do a chargeback, which is great. Unfortunately, people use chargebacks not in the right ways. People brand people as scammers who really are not. Because again, self-responsibility is not a thing. Blame is very seductive. Can we just do better? It's 2025. It's the year of doing better. It starts within. Okay, let's do better. Um, I find that a lot of times when people say, "I got nothing out of it," they they had expectations that were not met, and sometimes those expectations were set. It was falsely advertised, yes, but 9 times out of 10, those expectations were fully on them. Yeah. Then when those imaginary, never said by anyone, expectations did not get met, they're like, "Oh, scam alert, scam alert." It's crazy. It's insane. I got called a scammer a couple of months ago because someone forgot their password to my website. So I'm sorry. Someone bought my recurring revenue program a few months ago, and they forgot their password, okay? When you forget your password, you just click "Forgot password," and then you reset it. Like, we've done that at least once in our lives, like, we know as grown adults on the internet how that works, yeah? That person messages my team and goes, "You are a disgusting scammer. I'm gonna do a chargeback. I'm gonna call the police on you. I'm gonna return my money now." And it was like a proper extortion email. We were laughing our asses off. I was like, "This is you know what? This is worth losing the 1,800 bucks just to be like just to keep laughing at this person. This is hilarious." And it was, to this day, I don't know if it was just buyer's remorse because they never even logged into the program, or it was just someone being really, really dumb and obnoxious. But it wasn't a case of, "Hi, could you help me reset my password?" Or, "Hi, could you tell me why I can't access," the polite version. It's, "You stupid bitch, you scammed me out of my money." Over the years, because 'cause I've had more than 3,000 clients in the span of my career. So we've gotten our fair share, maybe like a dozen of that over the years, and it's been hilarious every time. The person didn't do a chargeback. They just kinda I think they felt ashamed when I personally because I wanted to take that one. I was like, "I'm gonna respond to this one." And I was so nice. I was so kind. And, gave them a screenshot and everything, and then they opened the email and never responded. It was amazing. I found that a marketing program in hasn't given me the results I was expecting. See, this is why I like to go into things, I think, without really any expectation of the person and of the program, but I like to go into them with expectations of myself. And those expectations, this might sound crazy, but those expectations are not result oriented. So when I enter something, I'm not like, I'm gonna make $500,000 a month from this as a result of this. I go into it like, I'm gonna show up to at least 80% of the live calls, and I'm gonna have this mapped out, and I'm gonna create these brand assets, for instance, right? Or I'm gonna rework my ads funnel, whatever it is, and it ends there. At the level at which I invest, you can be stepping into things being like, I'm gonna make 2 million a year from this. That's ridiculous. The sooner you start operating like this with investments, the better. And when you start operating like that, there's going to be a lot of noise around you from amateurs who are going to say, oh, but you're just being scammed. You're just being conditioned to make investments and not expect anything so that they don't deliver. And then it's your fault. You're going to hear a lot of that, and you're never going to hear it from a single successful person. I heard a lot of that when I optimized my mind and I shifted how I think about investing. And every single person who ever said that to me is still struggling. So sometimes we become part of the noise. We merge with the noise because the noise is very seductive, just like blame. The noise is very comfortable, you know? It's better, right, to have these wild expectations. I'm gonna join this as explode, and I'm gonna make $1 million next year, versus I'm gonna take the last spot at Des's program explode. I'm gonna be that person who hears about it on a live video, takes that as a sign. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna invest, and I'm gonna show up to as many live sessions as I can. And I'm gonna see if I can go to the in-person retreat. And I'm gonna leverage this opportunity and talk to Des every single day in that space. And I'm gonna network with all the other people in there. It's a very small group. I maximum accept 10. So it's a very high level room. And after that, I want to have this mapped out, and be clear on this. The end. That to me is a very healthy mindset. And that is the person I want to work with. I don't want to work with a person who's like, I'm going to do explode and I'm going to make $1 million. Hmm, that to me is a red flag because I don't invest like that. I don't know. What do you think? I invested 20K in a mastermind that was too advanced for where I was. I didn't do my due diligence. I got caught up in the sales pitch and let them sweep me off my feet. Although I think I was coaxed in, and it was a very expensive lesson. I learned so much about who I was and how I didn't want it to be. Yes, do business and what having integrity actually means. I love that. And that's why I love you, Callie. And that's why I want to work with you. No matter what the buyer entered their card number, the buyer has to take responsibility for that, even if it's for lack of decrement. And that's why I love working with you. I've got a client and I don't want to leave this live. Hope you keep it up as a reply. I love this desk. We still have 33 people watching. Drop me a one if you're watching this live. I paid for a program and never met the coach, but I met someone through her program who changed my life and business. Hashtag winning. Love that. Love that. So yeah, I got scammed and got nothing out of it. Yeah, not a fan of the "I got nothing out of it" part, because if you truly got nothing out of it, that's more on you than it is on the other person. Hi, on YouTube. Thank you for still being here. Um, so next one, I got one more or two more. Next one, this is one of the worst ones. You will hear, those of you with memberships, you will hear that a lot in memberships if your membership stands the test of time. My membership, BBS, has been around for 8 years this February. And let me tell you, I've heard that over the years. I joined, but I didn't use it, so I'm leaving. I'm cutting my losses. I understand that we're gonna try and spin it to ourselves as, "Oh, clearly if I've not shown up, it's not aligned. It's not aligned, maybe, and because it's not aligned, I'm just gonna cut my losses and I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna join something else where I also will not show up for a year, and then I'll cut my losses there, and then next thing, and then next thing, and then it's a loop, and I see these people, and they are still in that loop. I because I like to not to be stalkerish, but I do keep track of some folks, and I see them still stuck in that loop, like, half a decade later, and that to me is very disturbing. They join the program or the membership, usually a membership because it has to be an ongoing thing, and then for months, you try to. Because in my membership, for instance, we have a very high engagement level, which I'm very proud of, and we have multiple ways of making sure people engage, right? But everyone engages at a different pace. Some people show up every day, some people show up twice a month, get all they need out of it, and then on to the next month. And despite all of the engagement strategies we implement, there's always going to be a small group of people who just do not show up at all, right? They don't show up by consuming any of the content, and they don't show up on live calls to talk to me. They don't show up to ask questions. They don't do anything. And they've paid for it. They either paid for the year or they pay me every single month and they don't show up. And there's a few reasons for that. And some people genuinely feel like just making the investment is enough. And oh my God, I've invested now. And because I've invested, magic is gonna happen. Money is gonna be sprinkled onto me, just like this. And I'm gonna be rich. I wish, right? That would be amazing. Hey, Stash. I've never not shown up. I've not shown up. I have not shown up in spaces a couple of times over the years, and I really wish I did. And I think because I've done that myself, I can really understand where people are coming from. And so then when this person in the membership doesn't engage, I in BBS have a 6-month minimum commitment. So after 6 months, you can leave anytime. On average, our people stay for about a year and a half. I have people in there who've been there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, just to give you some context. I love BBS. A lot of you are in BBS. Drop me a hashtag BBS if you are in BBS. So they will not engage for 6 months, and then they'll see that the minimum commitment is up. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to go, they're going to click cancel because in my membership, you can cancel yourself. You don't have to email us and jump through all these hoops 'cause that's disgusting. They cancel without saying a word. And then the team will reach out. I try to reach out as well. We don't get many people who leave. It's not like 10 people leave in a month. So I try to reach out personally and say, "Hi, I wish you the best," and et cetera, et cetera. I always try to part on nice terms, and most of the time they'll end up joining another program anyway. So then we talk, and a lot of times they'll say 9 times out of 10, the person will say, "Well, I just wasn't using it, and so I left." And it kills me. It really kills me because if I'm not using something, the last thing I'm gonna do is leave. That to me is insane. You trusted your gut. You followed your intuition, and your intuition led you to this space. Clearly, it's aligned. Clearly, there's something here for you. And you are now telling yourself a story that because you haven't shown up for 6 months, there's all this shame around it now, and you're like, "Well, I'd rather, end my shame here, wash my hands all of this so that I don't feel more shame in 6 more months when I'm still not using it." And what is that? That is the ultimate lack of self-trust. That's what that is. We don't trust ourselves, and so we just do the easy thing, the thing of least resistance, and we just do. And, some people may listen to this and say, "Oh, but, maybe it just wasn't aligned." Cool, but how would you know that if you never showed up? I personally don't get that. So it's your investment will not create results. Your engagement with the investment is what's gonna create results. I'm actually picky with my spaces, but when I find the space, I feel great. I show up. I learned that I needed to be picky to show up as much as I can. I learned the type of commitment that works best for me. For me, it's mostly one to one. I get that. On one hand, I can see myself staying forever in BBS. On the other, oh my God, it's going to cost me a ton because there's so many talented people who go on to my to work with this one. Oh, that's hilarious. But also, like, the whole goal is to make money. So not really, right? BBS has become this beautiful place of trust where a lot of people work with each other. You know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of people work with each other. And it's great because you have everyone at your disposal. Otherwise, you have to go and search for people. So personally, I really love the networking aspect of spaces. And for me, when I'm part of a membership, even if I feel like, okay, I'm not showing up all the time to like ask questions and get value in that sense, I will use the fuck out of it for networking. I literally am in memberships for networking, and I get so many clients out of there just because I show up and I talk to people. And so to me, it's so crazy that people will join a membership, spend 6 months or a year there, not even utilize it to get clients and then just leave. Why? There's probably 50 people in there who would love to work with you, but you never did anything. So for me, I will literally be in spaces for the networking aspect because I love to be of value to people. And when you are of value to people, people will gravitate towards you and they will want to pay you and work with you. And that's what happens to me. When I step into a room, like someone else's room, people gravitate toward me and want to work with me because I show up wanting to be valuable to them. I don't show up being like, I want to get a client. I want to get some value out of this. Even if you are joining a space to get value, like to get business mentorship and coaching from it, ask yourself, how can I be valuable here? That will not only bring you clients, but more importantly, you will feel fulfilled in that space. I don't think when you're joining anything that's community based, that it's a good idea for you to be joining thinking, ooh, client, client, client. How can I get a client? It's just not, um, I don't think it's the best way to be as a human being in those spaces. Because before we're business owners, we're human beings. Hi, Steph. When I joined, oh my God, Rochelle, don't say that. Hi, Rafi, talking about BBS. Let me see. Hi, Amanda. How does someone invest in a badass course and do nothing? I have MHD. What's MHD? To the damn moon, and I plug in, then blast off. They don't want to change their life. I've made such wonderful friends in BBS. Oh, I love to hear that. Thank you for saying that. Steph, cannot wait to see you in high voltage, but there's still 2 weeks, so you're gonna see a lot of me before that. Don't worry. You're gonna be sick of me by the time it starts. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance, but also not really. And I see I've already gotten like 4 messages about what Explode is. I'm gonna get back to you guys after this. I do only have one spot left. Hi, Steph. Hi, Bex. So to start to wrap this up, we're not done yet, but just to start, um, there's another thing actually that I hear a lot, especially after the pandemic, and that is, I'm just taking some time for self-care. Like, I just need to take a break from my business for self-care. And that's an interesting one because, correct me if I'm wrong, but self-care does not need to mean abandoning a responsibility, right? Self-care does not need to mean abandoning your business. It just means showing up more sustainably and managing your energy better. It doesn't I think a lot of people use the self-care thing as running away, as a reason to run away from the business. And I know that because I've had clients who've done that and they came back a year later and told me, "I thought I was doing it for self-care, but actually I just ran away. It just felt I overwhelmed myself by doing all the wrong things, and then instead of staying and dealing with it head on, even though it was gonna be uncomfortable, I ran. And because I ran, now I'm back with 0 momentum and I need your help." And then they have to pay me 3 times more because my prices have gone up. Because they chose not to face the thing. They chose to escape from the thing instead. I'm not saying that self-care is not important. Self-care is crucial, crucial, okay? If you follow my stories, you know I love self-care. sometimes too much. But I find that people will say things like, I'm too overwhelmed, as if it's an external thing causing the overwhelm. No, it's not. An overwhelm is not always a bad thing. It's a normal thing in business. But if you're overwhelmed, then just simplify this shit. Just simplify your business. Most of you are overcomplicating these things massively. The amount of time a client will send me a voice note telling me, okay, Des, this is what I'm doing. And I'm listening to it and I'm getting an anxiety attack because they're doing 25 things they don't need to be doing right now at all. I'm like, why are you doing this? You do not need to do this for another 2 years. you know, I had a client the other day who sent me a voice note. She's a new one-to-one client. And she sent me a voice note and she's like, Des, I have these 4 lead magnets. Can you help me come up with names for them? And I was like, bitch, why do you have 4 lead magnets? You're making 5 grand a month. You don't need any lead magnets. You need to go and sell your one-to-one offer. Sell your one-to-one offer, hit consistent 10K months, like secure 10 grand for 6 months running. And when that's secured, we go on to the next step, which is a group program. Okay, a signature group program. In her case, maybe a membership. We'll see. But 4 lead, what? That's insane. So we don't prioritize properly. We massively overcomplicate things, and that is the problem. I find that overwhelm is a choice, and it's a choice we make when we refuse to prioritize, when we refuse to invest in a mentor that can help us prioritize. Because like I've had people come to me on a BBS call and be like, okay, Des, I'm gonna run ads. This is my whole strategy. They spent 5 minutes outlining this whole ad strategy, and then in the end, I'm like, you should not be running ads. I'm sorry. Let me save you so much time, so many panic attacks, so many like your mind is not ready for you to run ads. Your business is not ready, and your brand is not ready for you to run ads. Revisit this 18 months from now. And she was sitting there like she hated me at that very moment. She hated me with passion. She was like, and you know what? Like, maybe I lose you as a client when I say that. Or maybe you listen to me because I've been where you are. And my job is to tell you my honest opinion. Now, if she then says, Des, that's fine. I understand what you think, but indulge me and help me create this ad strategy, even if you don't think it's the right thing, I'll do it. 100% I'll do it. But she didn't ask for that. And in the end, she listened. I have 3 things I'll be focusing on this year. Membership program one-to-one. Love it. What's BBS? BBS is my amazing membership. DM me if you want to ask about it. My uncle says keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, it's such a cliche thing, but it's so true. So basically the whole aim of this video is to get you guys to understand that it's time to flip the script. If any of the above is things that you've said or are saying or thinking right now, you need to burn the fucking script. The script should not survive the way it is because it's not going to bring you anywhere. You need to stop blaming external reasons for not being where you want to be. Period. You've changed all of my ideas, but I'm happy with that. You're welcome. Um, So yeah, what's one area of your life or business right now, especially your business, where you are blaming external circumstances instead of owning? And I want you to write it down and feel free to share it with us if you want to continue the brutal honesty and vulnerability. I mean, massive respect if you share with us or just journal on it. But what is one area of your business that you're just not owning right now? And you've come up with all the reasons why it's not happened instead of looking within, looking in your investment patterns, looking at your, commitment patterns, all of that. And I understand that for a lot of people, and this is the final thing I'll say, or we'll be here for 10 hours, but I understand that for a lot of people, and I've been there, struggle feels safer than success because it's familiar, it's predictable, And on the other hand, success is really demanding. Success is you don't just become successful and then your life is easy. That's not how it's easier in some ways, harder in other ways, but success will demand for you to step into uncharted territory, and it will demand from you to to take risks more often. And the level of responsibility that comes with success is something that a lot of people cannot handle, which is why not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, and that gets to be okay. If you're here, you probably are meant to be an entrepreneur. You wouldn't be listening to this. You would be turned all the fuck off. But I find that people subconsciously sabotage themselves to stay in the comfort of struggle because it gives them an identity that feels meaningful, right? And there's this concept of radical freedom that comes from Sartre, and it's that freedom is terrifying because it means that everything is your responsibility. And I find that most people are just not ever gonna be ready to accept that. And to me, it's liberating because it means that you also are the one who has the power to create anything and to change anything. Just And thank you for listening to my ramblings for the past hour and 23 minutes. I love you for that. And if anyone wants to talk about Explode, just shoot me a DM and I'm gonna check on it right now. And I am also running High Voltage for those of you who are sitting here thinking, this has a membership for 8 years, recurring revenue. Fuck yeah, I wanna have recurring revenue. This is the link to my free event, High Voltage, which begins January 20th. So like 2 weeks from now or so. It's 4 days, it's a 4-day challenge, and it's gonna be really amazing. We're gonna have thousands of people, many opportunities for networking as well, for being in a really powerful room of people who are very ambitious, very determined at different levels. So I would love to see you there as well. Okay, bye.